Hello there BookTube, happy Poetry Thursday. I've not been very good at keeping up with Poetry Thursday over the last few weeks, so hopefully I'll be able to make up for it a bit and get back on track with it. Today I've got some Surrealist poetry for you from this book that has escaped book haul videos, but it's Surrealist poetry in English, and yeah, little penguin thing. Full of surrealist poetry, and there's a really fascinating essay about surrealism, sort of a general history, and then a little more in-depth history into surrealist movements in the literary world in England and America in the sort of first half of the 20th century, and that was amazing. And then some of the poetry in here is really great, really delightful. Yeah, I've been really enjoying it, but the nothing so far has really beaten the first poem in this collection, which is a poem by a poet I've never heard of before opening this book. He's called Braving Imbs. So I'll have his name below, and the poem is called "The Wind Was There," and nothing really matches it for me in its imagery and its energy. So I'll just give it a bit of a reading, hopefully do it some justice. Yeah, let's see how it goes. The wind was there. All was in flight, wild geese in the sky, snow from the sky flying, rivers hastening to the sea, and waves from the mid-sea hastening to the shore. Horses running from a fence, fences running from the ground, ground fleeing from the sky, and the sky was filled with flying stars and suns innumerable. Daisies springing from the grass, pines fleeing up the mountainside, even the mountain was in flight. Less swift than the southward geese, or rivers in the spring, less swift than these, but flying still, stone upon stone scraping in slow erosion, gravel grinding into dust and fleeing before the wind. All was in flight. Even from a distance my flight was faster than a fleeing cloud. I only knew the wind was there, swift and imperious and proud, sharper than fine steel. So shall I ever flee, swifter yet swifter, until the speed is such my spirit shall enkindle with the wind, and then a brown and crackled leaf I'll fall, my flesh to shrivel into mould, my blood to mingle with the seeping rain, and all my body's flight become a strange return. And yeah, I mean, particularly the first part of that, yeah, it's just really weird and great. And yeah, and then the way he kind of brings it back, from these images of nature and these kind of elemental kind of forces, and then it becomes more personal then. At first it's the person in all this wind and stuff, and then it's the person themselves moving through life and eventually dying. And yeah, I think it's the energy and the imagery is really great in that poem. And the next poem in here by the same poet is actually really good too, so I'll leave you with this one, and it's called Sleep. Slowly the ponderous doors of lead imponderous, pushed by a wedging force unthinking opened. How like a cloud I floated down the dim green air, unthinking of the soft violence of odorous winds, the falling plaint of hidden violins and eyes following. Doors unto doors unfolded downwards, and I was like unto a sailing ship, stern downward sailing on a dim green sea, unmindful of the rich push of the flowery winds, the melting voices of far seraphims and arms following. Slowly the ponderous doors of lead imponderous lowered above my head in absolute slow closing. Quiet as a shadow on a dim green wall, I rested in my dark and ivory vaults. The violins were no more, nor eyes, nor arms, hours on hours following. So there you have it, some of I've got the Braving Imbs poems in this Surrealist poetry anthology, and yeah, this has been a real treat, and maybe I'll read more from it in the future. Yeah, in other news, as probably many of you may have seen on David Wiley's channel, David and myself are starting up a poetry book club. So we're going to read a book of poems, or a selection of poems, or complete poems of a certain poet, or maybe not complete poems. That might be a bit. Might be having illusions of grandeur there. Yeah, we're going to be reading poems together every month, and this is surely going to trickle into some Poetry Thursday videos, and so we'll see how it goes. But maybe some of the next Poetry Thursday videos will be linked up with what we're going to be reading. But other than that, that's everything. I hope you're doing well, and I'll see you soon.